Greetings from sunny Central Florida. Let's get into crafting.
This video is part of the Small Creators Sunday playlist put on every month by Tiff at Broke Girl Aesthetic. This month's co-host is Sarah from Can Sarah DIY It. A little more about this later on in the video. Project number 1, July 4th reverse canvas. This is just a cute little decor piece that you can lean against some books on a shelf or on a table against a vase. I'm using the Adirondack Folk Art Adirondack chalk paint and some acrylic paint there from Magic Fly, and I'm going to remove the canvas from the wooden frame. It's just a plain wooden frame, but I like doing this. It's a cool effect to be able to suddenly create a wood frame. I'm also going to reuse the canvas here. So this is my favorite way to faux stain a frame, and that's just a baby wipe, and it gets in all the nooks and crannies. I leave the staples on the corners because I think that's what's holding this little frame together. And we just get the inside and the front and the sides, and I don't bother doing the back because it's not going to be shown. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to set it aside to dry, and then I'm going to work on the canvas. It's a little bit of darker blue than I've been using with my Patriotic decor. It's acrylic, and it's got a strange name in the beginning, but it's basically just like a dark blue, and red is actually just labeled red. I did add a bit of water, and you'll see that the paint is kind of bleeding down like that, but I don't really mind it because it's kind of like a little effect, like maybe I did it on purpose. And instead of doing red, white, I chose to do red, blue, because I think it's going to show up better when I do the stencil. And I guess the stencil you could call like a reverse stencil. So it's Cricut letters, and I just did it myself. Just put the letters on and measured it. My 4 is a little bit too big. I end up just cutting the bottom off. You'll see that in a little minute. But I'm getting better at getting my Cricut words off. I'm just taking it slow, and you can see me using my Cricut tool to get it to start sticking, and then I can just pull the whole thing off. So getting there. And look at that. I have it on the transfer tape, and now this is exactly where I wanted it to be. I'm just going to rub it down with my Cricut tool, and it's going to be good to go. Actually, yeah, I used that flat end of the tool and just pulled the stencil up with it. And I like how that turned out. I like how that made everything so quick and flat. So I'm coming in with a stencil brush. I bought some stencils off of Amazon, and they actually included a foam brush and a bristle stencil brush like this. So I use it to cover up all my letters, and you're supposed to, let your chalk paint dry, but of course I got in a rush and started using my heat gun, and I'm going to show you the brown spot. It actually started to burn it. So I'm like, okay, set aside, walk away, and then I came back. Full disclosure, I did try and get a crackle effect on this, but I was supposed to do it on the first coat, and I just forgot. So I tried doing it on top of the white, and it just didn't come out. But it did come out kind of like cakey and thick and everything. So, it did something. It just didn't do the crackle effect, and that's okay because that's totally my bad. User error, they call it. So cool, look at that. It just comes right off, and it's like this beautiful little pattern underneath. I'm I'm just going to finish getting my letters up, and they're coming up quite easy. I can see the raised portion of the letters, and that helps me know where to lift it. And look, I'm like, uh-oh, this doesn't fit. Like, that would be perfect, except I'm completely cutting off the word happy, and I decided happy was more important than the bottom of the 4. And, you know, I could have cut out the bottom 4 and glued it down, but I just chose to let the bottom be cut off. And I put a little dab of glue to hold the canvas, and then I just flipped it over and did the rest with just stencils. And that's actually just a regular office stapler. It's not the big one. You don't really need it with this. This wood is soft enough that you can use a regular stapler on it. And when I'm happy with how it's sticking down, I have been pulling it tight as I go. I'm just going to flip it over now and take my utility knife and trim the edges. After I've got the edges trimmed, I take a look at it and decide it needs some type of embellishment. So I make a little finger bowl here. I think I wrapped it maybe 5 to 7 times. Put a little bit of blue from the other twine in the middle, and then popped it on there with some hot glue. And I do come back after this off camera and add a couple of half beads to the corners to balance it out, and you'll see that in the final reveal. So more about Small Creator Sunday. It's every month on the second Sunday. Tiff of Broke Girl Aesthetic is the host, and this month Sarah from Can Sarah DIY It is the co-host. Like any other playlist, I'll have a link to Tiff and Sarah's channels, and I'll also have a link to the playlist. This month's theme is Independence Day, and every month has a different theme. So show them some love, watch the playlist, and let's get back to crafting. Project number 2, framed independence phrase. So I found this copy of the Declaration of Independence on a site called Giraffic Jam, and it was free, and there are lots of free copies of this out there. So the first thing I did was took a 8x10 frame and put some Dollar Tree vinyl on it. And then I'm going to take a Dollar Tree glue stick and just smear it all over the back of this 8x10 frame. And I just wanted a nice smooth surface to glue the paper to. And the paper is just regular printer paper. And I'm just going to slide it down there and get it so it's centered as best I can. You notice the difference between the paper and the actual printed copy. You actually get a choice between a white copy or a faded copy. So I choose the faded copy. It seemed more appropriate. I'm going to spray some gloss finish on the paper, and I do that with all the papers that I use that are just paper. It kind of gives a coating and it just makes it more durable. So onto the frame. I think it's some kind of foam or plastic. It's definitely not wood, but I do give it a good heavy sand. This is like a really gritty sandpaper, because I know the paint's probably going to slide on it if I don't. And this is just the paint that I mixed up with the 3 glossy finish tubes and then the 1 tube of the chalk paint. And you say I have the crackle medium. I actually put a coat of crackle medium on the frame and then set it aside to dry. And then I work on my Cricut words. So I'm getting much better at my Cricut words. So I actually did each word individually. And here you see I'm getting the word happiness. That's the last word in the phrase that I chose. And I'm just going to let you watch how I have figured out how to do this. So I just placed the transfer tape on top of the cutout word and then put it upside down and peeled the backing off of the transfer tape. And I use my little weeder tool there just to hold the letters down if they're not completely grabbed onto. And I'm going to use that same piece of transfer tape for all the words, and it worked out just fine. It gets a little like dusty after a couple of uses, but it still works perfectly fine. So I've learned how to get this to stick better and how to get it off better. I like using the tool like this, like just to hold the transfer tape as I pull off like that, but you can sort of do it on a 45-degree angle. I find that that works pretty well too, but I do like this method that I'm using right here. And I'm going to show you this whole word here, and then I'll finish it off camera because it does take a little while. So there we go. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are some of the rights guaranteed in the Constitution, our inalienable rights. So I checked, and back in the 1770s, frames were like either oak, wood, or like a gilded gold, and I knew I wasn't going to get this frame to look like oak, so I'm trying to get it look like gold, and I put a coat down on top of the crackle medium and dried it, and it crackled a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I came in with some distressing in gray and black, and that did bring out a bit of the texture from the crackle. A black dry brush on the words, and I'll give you a better look at the final reveal. And now the final reveal. Only 2 projects this video. I've been a little lost this week. My sweet feline friend passed away after 17 years. I meant to have a 3rd project, but I just didn't have time. So thank you for watching, and I'd like to finish this video with a few sweet pictures of her. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. See you soon.